So people's been asking me about my review of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Um, I'm not gonna lie. Over the course of this Assassin's Creed franchise with Ubisoft, it it was at a dark place. It was pretty bad after everything after Black Flag. Like it just started going downhill after that. But over the course of time, when they started doing a 2 year release and taking time to actually polish their game, it's gotten better. Which I think Valhalla would probably be the best. I'm 60 hours in. I've completed just about everything in the game, from the quest to the order. Everything is basically done. As far as the story goes, I mean the story is very interesting. Obviously, you have the same convoluted story of like you and your brother, y'all start off best friends, end up enemies, that sort of thing, which I think is pretty played out. I think at this point, either just drop the second fact of like you have a brother or sister, depending on the gender that you pick, and just go with a single story. In particular, with this story, I don't know if it's more of like a story mode or it's more like a take over the land mode. Because in this, it's not necessarily a story that you follow. You start in Norway with your family, obviously complaining and wanting to grow. You and your brother decide to leave and take over England. Spoiler alert, your brother does absolutely nothing, which is understandable because you're supposed to be the main character. But the fact that it's we're going to take over England and I'm the one doing all the taking over is pretty ridiculous, but whatever. But it's more of a territorial thing that you pledge to 20 alliances. Each alliance is like a couple hours. And it's basically like, I'm going in, I'm here to defeat the order, and basically put a king on the throne, and then I'm dipping. Now, with that repetitive style, 60 hours in, for the first 20, it's like, oh man, this game is fun. And the game is fun, regardless of what you may think. When you start getting like 20, 30, 40 hours in, like, oh man, this is starting to get a little repetitive. But the game is fun. Having said that, it does get a little bit repetitive. But overall, for the story and the character progression, I think that over time, because with the original ones, it was more focused on, hey, here's the story, but really the story is kind of like second, because here we're all about assassins. We want to do assassin things. We're all for the Brotherhood. It's time to take down the Templar. I think that had ran its course a long time ago. Like when they started doing different things with Black Flag, obviously Origins and Odyssey, I think they were on the right path, but they still tried to shove down we're assassins. I'm gonna tell you, that shit didn't age well. That's really played out. Like, but with this one, they gave you the option of, hey, you can follow this, but you don't have to. You can do everything, and this is really just like some side thing if you really want to. Granted, I mean, hell, it's only like 45 members, but you kill like over half of them during the story mode. Because I shit you not, every territory you go to, there's probably like 2 or 3 of them just lurking in the shadows there, intertwined in the main story of that arc. if we're just like looking at the map, it's like 80 arcs, or it felt like 60,000 arcs for whatever reason, instead of just, hey man, let's just get one story and let's run it. But I feel like they dragged that out. You know, you have like I said, I'm 60 hours in just to complete everything, and I really haven't done a lot. And I'm thinking, damn, it really took me 60 hours to complete the story. And it's like, this shit was just drawn out. Like, at some point, I was looking like, man, this thing could have been completed in like 20, 30. Like, obviously, if we're going over the things, like the graphics is amazing. I'm just looking at it and it just looks so beautiful. Obviously, that's cool and all. Like the music, obviously, you know, they're gonna always go above and beyond for the music. But shit, man, the gameplay. Now, the gameplay, I like the combat system. I like how you're basically in control of the things you want to do and how you want to build your character. Like with this, I built a poison build, which is pretty damn strong. I'm not even gonna lie, it's pretty overpowered. They introduced a new skill tree system where you're basically just going through, getting skills, abilities, and you kind of just go from there, and you kind of build your character for how you want. If you wanted to play bow and arrows all day, you would take this side. If you really wanted to dwell into assassin, you would go over here. Or if you just wanted to mash X all day or spam left click, you would go into the warrior side. With the abilities are like, man, a lot of them are cool. I take that back. Some of them are cool, but in reality, you're really running like the same, like, what do I need for my build? Everything else is useless. So I do agree that the gear system, how you can level up a gear and carry it with you through the entire game, versus I got this cool badass weapon at the beginning of the game, but it's level 5 and I can't do anything with it because now I'm at end game. I like how they changed that, because you can basically run around and get whatever you want and use it, which made it pretty enjoyable, I'm not gonna lie, because that used to hinder a lot of Assassin's Creed games, especially when you would go into an area that's a little higher than you, and you know, just with the Assassin's Creed combat system, you can pretty much like cheese your way through, and you'll pick up a weapon that's like level 38 and you're like level like 35. You're like, oh great, I can't even use it. Stupid. So I'm glad they took that cap away from it. As far as character progression and story writing goes, I mean, if you play one Assassin's Creed game, you kind of play them all. I do like that the mythology in this game is pretty amazing. Like, you're able to travel to Asgard and play out the Odin storyline with Thor and all them great guys. I do love that. I remember when I first traveled there, I was like, damn, you know, I'm really in Asgard, really about to dominate the game. And I loved it. You know, it was a great feeling over there in that particular section. However, that is sheer just one part of it. Like I said, with the writing is, I mean, it's a step up from other Assassin's Creed games, I will tell you that, because some of the Assassin's Creed games beforehand, writing used to just be atrocious. But towards the end game, it starts to get real repetitive with the writing. Like you're having a constant clash with your brother of, hey, your brother is tapping into this. I went from this Viking warrior to like now I see what I truly am. I'm a god. I'm this, I'm that. And you're having this conflict of like, what happened to you? What happened to us? What happened to taking over England? You basically diverge from your path. And you guys just keep getting into these heated confrontations. And it's like, man, that could have been dealt away with, but I get why they did it. But like at this point, the same thing with the Assassin's Creed, and where assassins were going after the Templars and the orders and all that. I think at this point you can just deal away with it, because like in reality there's really no need for it. As far as it goes with the settlement, obviously you can customize a settlement in this game, which is basically like your land. You can take over, build, and basically make like your own, I guess you would say, little city, because it feels like a little city. Shit, you got like 8 shops in there that you can grow and make your own. And I like that feature. It also gives you certain buffs to your stats when you do like feasts and you join your brothers in like the morale system and everything that they got going on with that. I think that was a great addition. I would like to see that carrying on into the next Assassin's Creed. Not necessarily like that, but in some form of like, hey, this is my area. Like, I worked hard for this area. I do like the introduction to the raiding system that they had. They had different raids where you can go and collect like materials and things like that to upgrade your system. Kind of like an Odyssey where you would fight and then you would board a ship basically to take over the ship. I think that was like my favorite part about Odyssey, was just ship fights on the boat, because everything else about the story mode was just convoluted and bloating and drawn out for no apparent reason. But with this, it was sort of understanding. It's basically based off of Vikings. So obviously you guys want to raid and take over things that don't belong to you, which is amazing to me, how we preach about solidarity and how we need to be brothers and everything, and come together, try to have a better world, but we're coming in stealing. I don't know, I just found that hilarious. But in conclusion, if I had to give this game a rating, I saw a lot of the ratings are like 9.5s out of 10s and things like that, and I will agree, this game is really fun. It's really amazing. When you pick it up and you just start playing, you get so lost into the game that it's like, man, I can sit here and just play it for hours and you don't even know, because hours just fly by. It's like, wow, I'm so invested. But then when you start hitting that wall of, man, this is repetitive, it gets pretty drawn out, and you just kind of will yourself to the end game of like, okay, I just gotta get over this last battle. Oh man, I gotta get this last territory. At some point you really just start speed running through when you look at the map and you're 15 territories in and you're looking like, oh man, there's 5 more. You get to the point where you start skipping and really going through, and you're just hauling ass just to finish. But I would recommend this game. I think it's a